Hello, everybody, and welcome to Paper Dollhouses. We have a special show today with Miss Tonya Bushee, and Tonya is agreed to share her story with us. So, a lot of you ladies out there that might need to resonate with someone, Tonya might be the one for you. How are you doing today, Tonya?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. What made you decide to share your story today with Paper Dollhouses?
Well, being at the age of 45, I've been through quite a bit, and it's been because of decisions that I made that I thought were good at the time and weren't. I held a lot of my decisions back and kept it to myself because I felt it was drama to others, and people wouldn't understand, or I get ridiculed for the things that happened to me. Um, Within the last 4 years, I have transcended to become just a better person and have actually dealt with the trauma that has happened in my life. I have accepted it, and I've moved on, and I'm actually happy now. It took a long time, but I realized that I don't need anybody, but I need a good support group.
Yeah.
And I recognize that now, what kind of support group I need to transcend to be a better person.
Right. If you don't mind me asking, I don't know, I know it's probably like a touchy subject, but if there's some trauma that may be relatable to some, was it, you're not comfortable, you don't have to share, but as far as...
Oh, I'm actually all ready. I already got my stuff here.
Oh,
and
okay.
Yeah. I met this guy. I won't say his name, obviously, but I met this gentleman, and we dated for a couple of years, and then in the beginning of 2005, we were engaged, and it was kind of like most relationships. Into 2 years in, you have your moments where it's kind of rocky, but we started getting a little bit better, and I found out I was pregnant with my second child. And it kind of started changing a little bit, but I was in love with him, and I was like, this has to work. This has to be him. I'm having a child with him. My mind was reasoning without me really thinking about what was happening. And looking at the warning signs and saying, you need to stop. You need to step back. There was a different voice of reasoning, and I'm still trying to figure out in my life of what exactly was causing me to stay that long and to go through all of this. When the pregnancy started, the alcohol started. It 6-pack to 12-pack a day. Fridays were 18 packs. The weekends were 18 packs and 24 packs and tons of cigarettes. And then it was the neighbor's house every night, and they started smoking weed. And he just wasn't there. I started having complications. I woke up one morning and I was bleeding. I thought I had had a miscarriage. So we went into the emergency room to find out that I had what was called placenta previa, where the placenta drops a little low, and a little bit of the placenta kind of dislodges, I guess, and it causes a lot of bleeding. I then, at that point, was placed on home rest because they didn't want me moving a lot and causing more damage. Thus leaving me more vulnerable to him, having him making more decisions in my life, because I was always an independent person.
Right.
I paid my own bills. I did this. Now I had to stay home.
Right.
This was a month into the pregnancy. I lost a lot of weight, but the baby was still there. You could see that their, eyes were sunken in and black, and, dark, not black. But,
yeah.
And he would fall asleep drunk, and he'd wake up and go to work. And it was just, I was miserable, and I was like, why am I staying with this? Love him. So one morning I woke up to the bathroom, and it was a different type of bathroom. It wasn't normal.
Yeah.
Called my doctor, and they said this just didn't feel right. And I looked down in the toilet, and it looked different. It was cloudy, which concerned me. I'd never seen anybody's water break before, but apparently my water broke at 4 months.
Oh, no.
So I called my doctor, and they're like, well, if you feel that, you know, your water broke, then you need to come in. So I came in, and they did a little swab, and it turned blue, and they're like, oh, your water did break. Now, mind you, when this happened, I'm going to back up a little bit because it was a while back. But when the bleeding started and before the water broke, a huge key indication for me that I should have realized that there was something very wrong was when I woke up bleeding.
Yeah.
And I asked my fiance that I need to go to the hospital. There's something wrong. And he pushed me off and said, take yourself. That was a big problem. I had to call a neighbor, and the neighbor took me to the hospital. And then I finally got a ride home from another friend while he was still at home sleeping.
Yeah.
And then when I got home is when he was crying. I'm so sorry. I was tired. I'm like, no, you were drunk.
Yeah.
But I put up with it. And then after that, the water broke, and then I was admitted into the hospital for a full month. Thought, this is it. He's really going to start to understand my pain that I'm going through.
Right.
I was admitted into the hospital, and that night he brought food, and he slept on a cot. And I was like, okay, we're going to get through this. And he never spent another night the whole month in the hospital. He would come for maybe 20 minutes in the morning, and then I'd see him maybe on a Friday after he got off of work. And then the weekends he'd be back at the house with the neighbors partying while I was in the hospital.
Yeah.
Many of ultrasounds figuring out why the water broke, where I was sitting at with my amniotic fluid, if the baby was getting enough of the amniotic fluid, because that's what it takes to make the baby grow and develop, and the pains and the pneumonia and everything else I was going through. I was basically going through by myself.
Yeah.
I had visitors. I had some family come. We were supposed to get married. We missed our wedding date because I was in the hospital, and I was like, kind of at this point, our wedding's not going to happen.
Yeah.
This is when I started to kind of like, all right, this is it. And so I was there for a month, and then they discharged me because my amniotic fluids went back up to 8. And about a week into home, like every other day, we were going to ultrasounds and stuff like that. And he was just becoming more angry and more verbal with his words. And I already had a son at the time. He was 4, 5, somewhere around that age. And just getting drunk all the time. And I'm not going to marry this. I've got to deal with this because we're going to have a kid together. But I woke up one morning, and I started having really bad back pain. So we went in for an ultrasound, and I was immediately airvacked from that hospital over to a different hospital, to the neonatal unit. Apparently in the middle of the night, I had given birth to my child with him in the bed.
Oh, my God.
She was still in, like she was in the canal, so she didn't come all the way out. So I didn't realize because she was small. She was only like 5 months old in the womb. And so at that point, he was just really taken back by it all. And what I'm going to say, I'm saying now because I've forgiven and I've let go of this. But he didn't know how to deal with the pain. So this was the way he was dealing with his pain. He sat there, I remember, in the hospital, and he goes, God, I wish that they would just get this over with. I really just need this over with. And I'm like, well, I don't know what you really want me to do about it, you know? And the doctor came in, and he goes, I really don't know whether or not she is going to survive. I don't know if she's viable. I don't know if she's going to be able to eat, breathe, talk, walk on her own, because we don't know how far the amniotic fluid, how much she developed from that.
Right.
It was always treatment that whole month in the hospital. She's good. She's not. She's good. She's going to be great. You're going to be fine. No, she's not. And it was just a constant back and forth the whole time in the hospital. So, basically, for the first time, the doctor said, you got to leave it in God's hands.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
no. God has nothing to do with this right now. I was just kind of my thought process.
Yeah.
So, they induced me and just to get her out, and it was one push and she came out, and she was 55 grams, which was just a little over a pound, and she was about 22 inches long. She was a long baby, and they put her in my arms, and he's crying, and then my sister showed up. She was sitting in the background. She was holding her, and he looked over at me crying as my sister gave the baby back to him and said, here, take her. And he held her for a little bit, and then he gave her right to me. He was there after she was born, maybe 10 minutes, and looked at me and says, I got to go. I can't deal with this. And walked out the door. Now, mind you, I had 15 nurses staring at me. My sister chased him out the door. She was a bit pissed at him.
Yeah.
And she didn't open her eyes. She was beautiful. And the doctor said if she lives right past an hour, we will get her right into the neonatal NICU unit because we know she's viable. Okay. So they gave a little oxygen mask and they kind of put it over her, and I was talking to her and stuff. And I started hemorrhaging. I was willing to give up my life for her. I wanted her to survive. I know I had my son too, but I wanted her to live.
Yeah.
So they had a pastor come in, and all the nurses left, and he goes, I want to pray for her. I said, you're wanting to give her last rites. That's what you're wanting to do. And he goes, I just want to pray. And so the doctor says, we need to go. You need to go into the emergency room now. He came in. He goes, you're looking really bad. You're flushed, you're blue. You need to go. We need to take the baby. I said, you're going to take her to the neonatal NICU unit. And he's like, he looked at the pastor, and the nurses kind of looked at each other. I'm like, but I'm not leaving. If you can't tell me physically she's going, I'm not even doing this all by myself. No family's there anymore. My future husband's supposed to be there, and he's not there. I'm dealing with this by myself.
Mm.
And they pronounced her at 8 o'clock in my arms by myself. Part of me died. He didn't come until about 11 o'clock the next day after he got, a nice breakfast and haircut. I was leaving him at this point. I was done.
Yeah.
They put me on a lot of medication, antidepressants and stuff like that. His mom came into town. Now, after this, I didn't remember much after this, but from what I was told from my best friend, I called her and told her I needed to be witness to our marriage, and we got married. A week out, like maybe 3 days after I lost her. I don't remember getting married to him. So I think the medications kind of got switched up between him and his mom because he was nervous about me leaving. He knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I stuck out the marriage for about 3 years until 2008, and I divorced him. I just could never forgive him for that. There was a lot of, I'm going to say domestic violence, but it wasn't physical. It was mental, it was verbal. It was a verbal abuse,
Yeah.
which is still domestic violence.
Oh yeah.
Nobody ever.
No.
And the day I left, I packed my clothes, my couch, my TV, my son's room, and I left out of a beautiful 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, pool, spa, everything.
Yeah.
It had everything in there, and I left with what I could on my back in one U-Haul.
Yeah. for you.
I came to a point where I had disassociation amnesia, um, where I tried to forget a lot of the things that happened. Um, and then in other relationships, I allowed what was happening in that relationship to define, in a sense, what my relationships were now.
Yeah.
Um, and I really, it came with the disassociative amnesia. It was a matter of almost being a robot in my life, where I would do what I have to do, not realizing what I was doing, not realizing what I was saying, and just doing it to get along, to get by in life.
Like a robot
Not,
in your own body.
huh?
Like a robot in your own body.
Oh yeah. And I went through one last relationship, and I said, you know what, I'm done. And that was 4 years ago, and I've been single for 4 years now. And I had to force myself to be single. I had to force myself through this depression. I had to force myself every day not to take any substance of alcohol or cigarettes to get me through this. I knew that there was something else bigger for me that would help me get through this. Not family, not friends, just me. I needed to find me.
Yeah.
I lost all of me.
Yeah.
And through a lot of meditation and through a lot of guidance and books about the law of attraction, energy that you emanate is the energy that you bring in that's going to help you heal.
Yeah.
And to recognize the people that I could talk to and help me, fuel me a little bit, positive people that kind of knew about transcending and becoming a better person and realizing the past is the past.
Yes.
Things happen for you for a reason.
Right.
And for now and I have helped other young ladies that have gone through loss of child and domestic abuse.
Yes.
And it's just really about part of loving yourself.
Yes.
And forgiving. And the biggest part too is forgiving.
Yeah.
You don't have to walk up to him and be like, oh, I forgive you for beating the crap out of me or verbally abusing me for the 7 years.
Yeah.
But forgiving him because something traumatic happened to him too.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't deal with it. That's his problem.
Yeah.
But forgiving him and moving on with your life.
Yes.
Being happy. And truly being happy so you can project that upon other people. And if they have kids. Because kids are the most purest form of human beings. I love them. Because they're so innocent and pure, and that's the way I feel everybody should be.
That's right.
And you don't want to project that negative energy on those kids.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to figure that out, but I haven't been happier. I worked from nothing, and now I'm in a beautiful 3-bedroom home on my own. I'm a project manager. I pay my own bills, but my kids are doing great. Okay. And I think about Brianna every day, and I know she's there with me. I feel her energy.
Yeah.
I feel her with me. I feel her with me now.
Yeah.
And it takes time, but I think the biggest thing that I can say for any woman going through domestic violence or lost a child both at the same time is that you can't jump into another relationship. You really need to focus on yourself. Empower yourself.
Yes.
Love yourself first. When you love yourself, let me ask you this. What are 2 words that come to mind when you think of love? This was just brought to me recently.
A long time ago, it used to be a partner. Nowadays, it's my kids and myself.
But if there was two words that could define love, what would it be?
Trust, loyalty.
I said the same thing. And I just reconnected with a friend of mine, and he opened my eyes even more when he said that. He goes, yeah, that's close. He goes, the two words that honestly define love is kindness and respect.
I like that. I like that. That's the absolute truth.
If you have kindness and respect, I mean, really, isn't that what love is all about? Being kind to the other person, whomever that be, male, female, and respecting them for who they are, not changing them, but let them be who they are. Don't change their looks. Don't change how they do their things at work. Don't change anything. You love them for who they are. And when they love themselves, then they only allow the people that will love them for who they are right now as a beautiful woman or man.
It's true.
Even for a man going through a domestic violence, same thing. Love yourself.
Yeah.
That's a big thing I can offer for advice. It's going to help everybody heal, because I feel that love is the key to everything.
I agree with you. I highly agree with you. You're actually, your story is actually one of the reasons why this platform got originally started, because, you know, that is a very hard thing to face. And that's a lot of things that women don't like to talk about, is that
Yeah.
of, you know, having a baby. We have people out in, you know, corporations that want to make decisions about what we go through, but they don't know the mental and the breakdowns and all the things that we go through, or we have to suffer with, because we deal with the responsibility of the challenges that are handed to us.
Yeah.
So you're very strong woman for that.
Thank you. It took a while, and I mean, still to this day, I have moments. We will all have moments. We're females. I mean, I think that in a sense, in females, if we start loving ourselves, we all become either clairvoyant or an empath ourselves, because we're so passionate. We have the power to feel not only ourselves, but feel others.
Yeah.
And it took a while, but I feel energies from different people. Mm-hmm. If they're being true or they're just being not good people. Yeah. And, you know, just going out, testing the field and dating. It was funny because one gentleman asked me, he goes, so, tell me what you like to do for fun. I had no idea how to answer that, because I stopped. I stopped everything. I started a new life.
Yeah.
My answers then were, I wipe my slate clean. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was my answer. I wipe my slate clean. I really don't know what I like to do for fun. I know what I like.
And I, you know, I'm really grateful for you to share this story, because I feel like your daughter can really see this part of you, that this strong, amazing woman that you are. And I feel like it even goes the same for your son. You know, he gets to see the story, he gets to resonate with the story, and he gets to say, Mom, that's not the type of man I'm going to be. That I'm going to take responsibility for my actions. Because you taught him that. You're breaking that generational curse.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that my son is a man to a woman, and he's very protective over me, and you know, he only wants the best for me, and he's kind of like my little pre-application for men. Like, he's very protective, you know. And with my daughter, I make sure she knows every day how beautiful she is. She's gorgeous, just absolutely gorgeous young lady. And I remind her of that, and I make sure that she tells herself that every morning in the mirror.
Yeah. How
amazing and wonderful and gorgeous she is.
Yeah.
Oh, she rolls her eyes. I'm like, trust me, I'm telling you, this might be not seen now, I said, but you're going to appreciate this in the future. That's right. And how much I love you. I tell her like 50 times a day how much I love her. And I do. I love both my kids just equally so much.
Yeah.
And I tell them all the time, like, oh my God. And I'm hug, you know. My son used to hate hugs, and now he understands why I love my hugs.
Yes.
And I see him, he's
Yeah.
6'2", I'm like right at his stomach, and I'm like giving him a hug. He's like, Mom, I'm like, don't. I'm like, give me my hug. Let me have my hug.
Yeah.
His hug's important. I want him to understand that feel and that touch and that hug. I want him to know how much I love him, and my daughter too.
Yes.
And that's what they should expect.
Yes.
That's what they expect, is that love and that empowerment.
Yes.
And to be confident in themselves.
Mm.
And just yesterday, I went out not grocery shopping, but I went out shopping with them. I took him out to lunch, and we went and watched the movie. And we were going through the mall, and the amount of people that this kid was talking to that we didn't even know that he would start a conversation with. He was so confident.
Yes.
And he has a job, and he was selling his product to these people. Wow. And man, that's really great. I mean, they were just enthralled with my son. I was like, oh boy.
Yes. Yes.
And my daughter, she's just like, she's so empath, and she's such an animal lover. She's just a raw beauty, and I can't be more thankful for my kids. That's all I really need to focus on right now, and that's all that I think that people should focus on right now if they're not strong enough to be in a relationship.
Yeah. And so so you agree that a lot of the intimacy that we seek later on in life, it does start in the home at a younger age.
Yeah, it does. It really does. It helps establish the boundaries of what they expect in their own life and what they'll tolerate, but at the same time, what they should be giving out to others.
Yes.
And to be loyalty and be genuine to other people.
Yeah.
And to be kind. And if people aren't going to be kind back and give that back to them,
walk away. That's right. And I like that. I like that you're establishing what you've learned from your past to them now, because that's good. Because I do the same thing with my children. I saw my daughter, she's a young girl, and she's beautiful, and her hair is short right now, and she doesn't feel like she's beautiful. And I tell her that every day, Mom, stop. But I dealt with a lot what you went through. Your story really resonates with me, because I really went through the same things. And it when I say that, I didn't feel that validation myself while I was still married. So I was seeking it somewhere else. And I realized, because I'm a single mom, and I like validating myself every day. I like getting up and telling myself I'm good enough for me. And my kids imitate that. And I think it's great, because it creates their individuality too. It creates their I'm good for me. And that's good. That's that healthy boundaries, checking out red flags. See, you're not recognizing. It's not, they're not going to be out there saying, oh, you're not recognizing my greatness. You're not recognizing my worth. There's like a difference.
Right.
So you're teaching them that.
And I did that with my parents and my sister, that I always had to get validation of, you're doing good. And for my jobs too, I was thinking, you're doing good. You're awesome. Why? Now I'm like, why? I don't need any validation from my mom, from my sister, from any man in my life, from my work. I know my work.
Yeah.
I know who I am.
Yes.
I know I am awesome at work. I know I got my shit down at work.
Yes.
No, I'm a strong mother.
Yeah.
And I want to instill that within my kids. I want them to know. And I know I've done it so far, because my son wants to move to Colorado on his own. 18 years old, he wants to go to an art school in Colorado.
Yeah.
Because he wants to change. I mean, not many kids can say that they just want to get up and go to a different state on their own.
Yeah.
Oh, and usually it's with people or something or whatever. He's ready to go. And my daughter, she's just as adventurous too. But teaching them that, but having also street smarts too, to be careful.
Yeah. Everything. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely has. I mean, that was definitely one part of my life that was very traumatic, and I really wish that women or men going through this don't shut it out, because if you shut it out, your brain will shut it out. It will collect it, and it'll put it in a little box, and you won't remember it.
Yeah.
And you'll go on your life thinking everything's great until you get in something that you really want to be with, and it's going to take one thing to trigger it. One thing.
Yeah.
And it's going to come back, and it's going to hit you hard. It's going to hit you harder than it did the first time.
Yeah.
And everything else is going to fall apart. So if you are going through something traumatic, deal with it. Deal with it, accept it, embrace it, learn from it,
Yeah.
grow from it, and move on. There's no reason to harbor something that has happened tragically to you, because it won't do anything except fester and make it worse.
I highly agree with you. You are speaking the language of Paper Doll Houses is all about self-healing and self-acceptance and letting things go in the past that trigger us and cause us pain and more trauma. Because you notice, like you said yourself, you've been single and you're afraid of bringing whatever pain that you brought from the last relationship into the next one. Do you believe that a person can take on the actions of their abuser and abuse the next person just like them?
Mm-hmm. They do. It's an attack mechanism. It's a natural reaction.
Yeah.
I did that for a while, and just anger that came out. I'm ashamed of myself that I allowed that to happen. I forgive myself now, but I guess in a sense I kind of owe that relationship an apology, because I projected that, because I didn't deal with it. I hid it. I was like, having the past. I can't change. I had it like a little bit. I said, past is the past. I can't change the past. But the problem was I didn't accept it. I didn't forgive it. I didn't let it go. I always harbored it. I always carried it around with me.
Yeah.
And you'll carry it around with you for the rest of your life, but it's an energy that flows through you now.
Yeah.
It doesn't stay. It flows through you. You recognize it, and it moves on. Yeah. And when the point you can get that negative energy, that past that happened to you, that hurt you, whatever it may be, you can get that to reflect through you, and you can recognize it and be like, yeah, that sucked. But you know what? This is who I am now, and I'm okay.
Yeah.
And let it flow through you.
Yeah.
It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world, you know?
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, as long as you have the right support groups and the right meditation, and you believe, and you have faith in yourself, I mean, anything is possible.
I just want to clarify. She said meditation, not medication, because a lot of this Western medication.
Oh, no, meditation.
Yeah.
No, I really don't. I don't agree on medication as far as like going to a doctor or therapist, like, here, let me give you some Xanax. It does nothing for you. No. It dulls your mind. Yeah. It dulls like what you really need to think about. And thankfully for me, I didn't want the alcohol. I mean, there was a couple of nights, I got really super drunk. I'm like, oh God, I woke up the next morning, I'm like, crap. I knew this wasn't going to work. You know? I didn't like the way I felt the next morning. It was still there, and now I felt shitty, and I had to get better.
And you're like, okay, now I got to take control. Oh my God, like this is too much. I don't want to have to deal with it. And I like that. I like that you explain meditation. One day I'm going to, with the ladies in my group, we're going to explain meditation. I honestly want to invite you to come on board to help out a lot of women, because that's what we're going to be doing. I know this is recording, but I would really love for you to be on there, because I feel like you, Tonya, can help out a lot of women in your situation right now. And yeah, and there's probably, you know what, and I wanted to start this thing where I have women who pick in the digital library, or especially part of the editors, who they would love to conduct their session with. And I'm pretty sure a woman hearing your story will want to conduct a session with you, because I know if it was me, in my shoes, I would want to conduct a session with you, because we have things in common. So yeah, I wanted to tell you that, and I really want to thank you. I don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about, or possibly
I think that was probably a good start point right now. There's other stuff that happened. I mean, there definitely was more domestic violence prior to the husband.
Yeah.
But that could be for another time if that's something more that you're focusing on. And how I came
Now,
next to.
yeah. Sorry.
No, that's okay. But I mean, it's a good start for me, and still to this day, talking about it is a good healing process.
Yeah.
Always good talking about it.
Yeah.
And getting it out, because you're not harboring it, you're not festering that pain that should be flowing through you.
Exactly. It's kind of like bringing all the bad to the front, because once the front recognizes it, then you have a choice to either let it take over your brain, or you have let you said, let it go. And I was just kind of saying psychological terms. I know people are going to deem me for that, but the Johari window I brought up was we're taking some things from your past, bringing it to the front, recognizing what it is, and releasing it, letting it go. That breaks that loop that you keep putting yourself through.
Yeah, I had a friend tell me, you never can move forward if you're always looking in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Forward the whole time. I was like, oh, it's kind of cool. I like that thing.
I really do like
But yeah, I mean, anything to help other women and men empower themselves and become stronger and more beautiful, loving people, because I think that will get change. A small change to somebody, and if I'm helping one person, is wonderful to me.
Yeah, that's amazing. So yeah, like I said, it was great having you on. Like I said, if there's anything else you want to talk about, I don't want to just cut you off, but if we're done, then I do appreciate you having you here. I'm really glad that you saw a traumatic situation. I'm really sorry that you had to go through that by yourself.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, me.
yeah, but it wasn't in vain, because like you said, everything happens for a reason. And because that happened, you know now what's important to avoid. Like, unfortunately, it's like character development, but it made you stronger. And you saying being single for 4 years, it's not a negative. You recognize your worth is not enough to put yourself in a situation where you either might get stuck again or lose yourself again. Because, when we fall in love, the preconceived notion, we kind of lose parts of ourselves being subservient. So, sorry, wait for the man who balances you, who doesn't make you fear those things. And then when that happens, it'll be an energy. It'll flow right. There will be no stress. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I completely agree that, finding somebody that is a perfect balance, and you'll know it, because when you transcend yourself and you let go of it and you start meditating and you're on that positive path, you will know when you have found that.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. Well, it was great having you, Tonya, and I would love to have you again sometime, like I said, on the Paper Doll Houses team. Other women, if you guys want to contact Tonya, because I'm going to recruit her today regardless if she says no or not, please feel free to contact me to speak to Tonya. And if you need to speak to Tonya privately or in a session like this, please feel free to do so. You guys have a great
You too. Take care.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.